us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. On Facebook, you'll be up to date on the latest happenings. You can watch our Sunday services on Facebook Live, 8 and 11 a.m. Eastern.
Here comes the power. Hallelujah.
Words of wisdom and encouragement can be found on Twitter, and you'll get up-to-the-minute sermon points as they happen in our weekly worship services. Follow us on Instagram and be blessed by the inspirational and special moments that are highlighted each week, and meet the people who are the heart of our ministry. And if it's video you want, subscribe to the Bethany Baptist Church channel on YouTube. See the celebrations, the special events, and the many, many people who are helping to transform lives one at a time. Stay connected with David G. Evans on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and become a member of our broadcast family today.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to OnPointe, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, coming to you live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any smart device at David G. Evans, the #1. That's at David G. Evans, the #1. You can view us and hear us worldwide. We ask you to share at this moment with all your followers and friends. Of course, like us and subscribe to us and hit that notification button so you won't miss one moment of this dynamic kingdom-based talk program, the #1 faith-based program in the United States on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We're so glad that you've taken the time to join us. We also will invite you to join us by calling us today. You can call us toll-free from around the world, 866 743-8267. 866-743-8267. That's 866-743-8267. 6-7. Every now and then that number just slips my mind.
Yeah, I get it.
This Pastor Nick Smith is with us once again today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How y'all doing?
Well, it's been a very busy news week across the board. Just national, international events, political, local events. Of course, since the last time we were together, the Queen was buried.
Yes.
And that was. I don't know if I've ever witnessed that kind of pageantry before. I watched a few things about it, and it's just, it was magnificent in its pageantry.
Very regal.
Yes.
And controversial, too.
Yeah.
Because the poor folk in England and people that got working crisis,
Yeah.
y'all spending $8 million on a funeral.
Yeah.
But can't help people.
Did they spend their own money?
No, there was the
state has to put her away.
The state,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure there were people that, thought that was a bit elaborate, but
It looked nice.
she was.
From the pictures I saw,
She's
yeah.
the queen, 70 years. I would expect that she wouldn't have had a.
No, she's going to have a.
Yeah. And I think probably the security and all for it probably is where the big money went.
Oh, you got the President of the United States there. All the
Yeah, that's where because you have a dignitary and you're getting people in, you've got to protect everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And evidently it went without a glitch.
Oh, of course, yeah. They said. I mean, I saw I didn't watch it, but I saw some of the pictures and little clips.
I saw a couple pieces of the processions, and just the way I saw about 2 minutes of the church service. But they said people were in line 24 hours a day for days.
Yeah, just to go pass by.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, something else.
I mean, the only one she's the only one that lasted that long.
Well, she's got to be the longest reigning monarch in the world.
I believe she is. Yeah.
Yeah, or was. Yeah.
It was, yeah.
So I see where the normal progression of things, the New York AG and their legal action regarding the former president. But I am interested in why Senate Republicans blocked a bill to require disclosure of big donors. That seems rather self-serving.
Yes, very much.
And I see that President Biden is introducing a plan to regulate cryptocurrency, which I hope they knew was coming.
Right, yeah.
And, it can't be totally unregulated.
Right.
It has to have some kind of boundaries, so that people aren't unceremoniously ripped off by what they're doing, and that has happened to some people.
Yeah, and the dark money, drug money and all that stuff being passed through.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to work. Yeah.
Yeah, they got to work around that.
After they made their money first, probably.
I'm
I'm
sure.
talking about the people, the big wigs.
I'm sure.
Got their money first.
I'm
and
sure.
Let's regulate it.
They got it out.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to say I'm surprised by the overt stupidity of Brett Favre? Why? He doesn't need the money. He had something he wanted to do with the money. Is that what it is?
I believe it's his daughter's school.
Okay.
They wanted a new volleyball gym.
Okay.
At the school.
Okay.
So the governor worked out something where they would take the money from for the people's, I think it's like a housing assistance program.
Okay.
For poor people.
Okay.
And use that money to pay for
The stadium.
the volleyball stadium. Yeah. Now again, Jackson, Mississippi, one of the poorest states in the country.
In the country, yeah.
Jackson has their big water issue going on, and
And they thought it was a good use of funds to build a volleyball stadium.
Yeah.
And to take it from an assistance program.
Mm-hmm.
And Favre, how did he benefit from this other than it built the stadium for his daughter?
I believe daughter. He's somewhere connected in that, and then that whole thing we talked about him doing a speech for the nonprofit lady was like the in between person,
Okay.
somewhat, and getting paid $1 million for a speech he never gave, on top of getting this money for this gym.
Okay.
Stadium.
So if this may be I may be answering my own question.
Mm-hmm.
If he felt so strongly about that getting done, why didn't he get on the phone,
Yes. Yep.
call a couple of his NFL buddies?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm trying to do. If he felt so strongly about building this stadium. Now, what city is the stadium located in? Secondarily, if he could figure out a way to raise money to build a stadium, volleyball, that not a lot of people are going to use,
Mm-hmm. Right.
why not if he's in the poorest state in the union, why not raise money for something that would be more impacting for people's lives? A volleyball stadium is not going to impact
Right.
a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. It's in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Hattiesburg.
That's southern Mississippi.
I know what
University of Southern Mississippi. I think that's where he went to college.
Emmanuel Mito lives in Hattiesburg.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think he went to college at Southern Mississippi. So it must
Okay.
be for his.
Yes.
Yeah. His daughter goes there. His alumni school, and
So then why didn't he call the famous alumni that they have? But more so, why didn't he call his former owner and, some of his former players and just raise the money that way? Why?
from what's being understood
Yeah.
throughout Brett Favre's career and his issues with prescription drugs and other controversies he's been in, he's not the most he's could be called a selfish person
Okay.
himself.
So if he can use somebody else's funds, he'll do that.
I'm sure he'll probably do that. Yeah.
So then they had this guy, John Davis, a former welfare agency leader in Mississippi.
Mm.
He was stealing welfare money?
Yes. And Lord. So he took some of the money. You remember the wrestler Ted DiBiase? The $1 Million
Absolutely.
Man?
Absolutely.
So now he's like in Christian broadcasting or whatever.
Ted DiBiase is?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He's Christian broadcasting and all that.
Okay.
So the guy took over $700,000 and gave that to help his thing.
Help Ted
Ted
DiBiase.
DiBiase, yes.
Okay.
But also help his son go to rehab. Got his son a job that he wasn't qualified for, wasn't really working. So, and it's just some other stuff. He was using that money to hook his people up.
And this is all in Mississippi.
All in Mississippi, yeah.
Who is the congressman from Mississippi?
Let's see.
I'm staggered at Brett Favre. I knew he doesn't look like the brightest individual from time to time, but I don't know.
And then the governor to be involved in this too.
How do you do that?
Of all people, like
The former governor,
former
right?
governor, yeah, former
Okay,
governor. At the
former
time.
governor.
What happened? That governor being a part of this process, knowing that this money was needed for.
Yeah.
But again, who determines what? It was primarily probably going towards minorities.
Okay.
Rather than, so they saw it as a way to. So they have three major ones. Benny Thompson, he's a Democrat.
Okay. He's the one that said the
black guy,
head of the January 6th committee.
Yeah. And then Michael Guest, he's a Republican, and Trent Kelly,
okay,
Republican,
I guess maybe I'm being a little naive, and of course our callers and watchers and listeners can help me understand this. How do you remain the poorest state in the country with representation in Washington?
No. Yeah.
In this day and time.
In this day and time, yeah.
How do I knowingly have a city, Jackson, which is the capital of Mississippi, right?
Yep.
That they have a problem that is pervasive, a water problem, and are willing to allow that water problem to linger because they don't want Jackson owning the airport.
Yes, over that. And that's my thing. And it's not even just African Americans.
Yeah.
In those southern states, they'll continue to vote for these conservative individuals who don't want anything to do to help them, but their whole focus on let's stop abortion, let's stop immigration. But you living in poverty, but you keep voting for these people.
Well, didn't you teach me years ago that some people tend to vote against their best interest? Yeah. I don't get it. Why in Mississippi do they keep electing people that keep them in the same impoverished position, for decades at a time? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And that's everywhere. I still remember that time when we talked about it before. That guy in Pittsburgh said, "I'll vote for Trump." His steel mill was closing.
Yeah.
All that stuff was closing.
Yeah.
He said, I'll, as long as Trump makes those NFL players stand for the national anthem, he has my vote. And the guy was like, wait a minute. He said he's going to bring steel back, never did it, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. As long as he makes them stand for the anthem, he has my vote. You're that narrow-minded that you'll hurt yourself to...
Well, when you don't have much going on, when there's a little productivity in your life and little hope, people like that tend to focus on one issue, watch this, that they can't control.
Yeah.
And that will be the justification for any other bad decision that they make.
True. That's true.
It's beyond me.
Yeah. But you said it even here, when Christie was in office. What was it? Was it the hurricane?
Absolutely.
When he lost all the housing and stuff?
The housing, the hurricane, retirement money, cutting people's job wages in half at state agencies. I mean, all that stuff happened, and people voted for him again.
Yep. To me, it seems like we vote against something rather than vote for something. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. But you always remember the racial vote is never logical.
That's true.
It's the mere fact that a vote is purely racially driven means there is not much logic operating in that thought process.
That's true.
I don't know. Well, let's go to Danny, man. Hey, Danny, how you doing?
Bishop, good morning. How you all doing? Pastor Nick, staff.
How's everything down there, man?
Right now, I'm behind in my chores. My wife is all caught up. She started at the beginning, actually before the hurricane season started. Everything she has is all on, got it straight. So I'm behind. I need to clear off my back porch and a few other things, and then I'll be ready.
So she got all the water and everything in that you all need and everything like that?
Cases of water.
I remember the last time Sis got ready, man. You said you guys weren't lacking anything.
No, not anything. She has it all set. So I'm just clean off the porch, and then I'll just sit down and see what happens.
Now, are you expecting one soon?
Yes. In fact, what's happening, it should cover the whole state, what's going on. But it's just amazing how the governor can talk about all these other things, but he don't see the storm coming.
That's not a priority of his right now?
I haven't heard too much of him saying anything other than, they have the storm out there, but we need to go ahead and get everything ready. And I just happened to pass by the stores, and now the store is getting really pretty well packed. I guess they're believing, what they're hearing.
So are you talking about hours, Danny, or are you talking about days?
We're talking
anticipate days still days away.
We should know something definitely by Tuesday.
Okay. I know we're getting a little bit of, hurricanes they have a ripple effect in the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some cold air suddenly, and we've got a lot of clouds.
It's going to hit Canada soon.
Yeah, they're saying the eastern Canadas.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, how is it going to hit eastern? It must be coming from where if it's going to hit eastern Canada but not come to us.
What is amazing is that there has been a denial as far as global warming, and you have to take note, and you have to see the things that are happening, the changes in the weather.
Mm-hmm.
The hurricanes are going further and further north.
Yes.
Than they ever done before.
Mm-hmm.
But they
Absolutely.
don't want to acknowledge the fact that there's a change that's happening.
Now I'm sure it has happened, but I can't recall in my lifetime them talking about a hurricane off the coast of Canada.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's never happened before.
Okay.
So this one that's coming up, interestingly, was the one that hit Puerto Rico,
Mm-hmm.
big, Dominican Republic, and it traveled up
Fiona.
to Fiona's traveled up to the Atlantic to Canada
On the west coast.
on the East Coast.
On the east coast.
Yeah. It hit
So
Puerto
it
Rico.
went right by us.
It went right. I guess it went out like that, and then it's coming back.
So it looped out and came back in.
Yeah. That's
Amazing.
interesting. I didn't know it was a. Wow.
There's another one right behind that. That's the one that we're dealing with now.
That's interesting.
So Danny,
But I just want-
let me ask you a question, man.
Sure.
How many years have you lived in Florida?
All my life. I'm a rare person. I'm a true Floridian.
Okay. So tell me, because my brother moved to Florida one time, and they had 5 hurricane hits in about a year and a half, and it drove him back to the north.
Mhm.
What makes a Floridian stay in Florida in light of the fact that you all are just about guaranteed to get hurricanes on an annual basis?
Well, actually, the thing is that before the constructions of homes and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have certain codes like what they have right now, and they were wooden houses. And what happened as time went on, they started building the more modern homes, but they were not constructed as strong as what they were back in the day.
Okay.
And if you look at Andrew was a proven fact of that. You had in South Miami-Dade, you had homes that were just totally demolished and gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had some of the old homes that were put literally on bricks that were still surviving. They made it through
Okay.
because of the fact that when they were constructed, they knew that the winds, how they would move, and they would go under and around rather than just go ahead and blow it away. And they didn't have the roofs actually connected or strapped to the foundation or to the walls of the house, and they just blew away.
Okay. So, and that tells me that Floridians stay knowing they're going to get a hurricane because of what?
Well, if you go back to the construction, what have you have faith in your construction. But when Andrew came, they changed the laws. They have very, very strict construction laws. Any new construction now, they have to go ahead and follow it to the T as to what it is, and that's a standard code that they have now all across the nation.
So you're saying that the fact that the homes are built stronger is why a lot of people remain, even though they know hurricanes are coming?
No, they just go ahead and you adapt to it. You love the weather and what have you. I'm ready to move, actually. I'm going to go ahead and just admit it.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask Danny a question?
Go ahead, man.
Whenever you're done. Okay. Go ahead, Danny. Finish it.
Because with the politics and all this other stuff that goes with it, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it.
Yeah. What were you going to say,
So,
Pastor Nick?
question, Danny, and maybe Tom can help us out with this too. Speaking of people voting against their own interests.
Okay.
So I saw something that when DeSantis' decision to what he did with the migrants,
Yes.
Hispanics in Florida are split down the middle.
Why?
You got almost 40% of the Hispanics saying that DeSantis did the right thing. Another part of them said he was wrong. Now, Danny, from down there, what's
They don't consider themselves Hispanic.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. It's got to be. How can you disconnect yourself from your own people? You have to stop considering yourself those people.
That's true. Because a lot of Hispanics are floating Republican now in Florida.
What's that got to do with human beings?
Yeah, I know.
The situation is that in Miami-Dade, there's a dividing line.
Okay.
Miami-Dade is the only part of South Florida. There's two Floridas. There's a North Florida. There's a South Florida.
Just like Jersey.
Okay? And the thing about it is that you have to respect the fact that we have what we call here in Florida big sugar. Sugar controls everything. Sugar to Florida is like what oil is to Texas.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And if you think about it, everything they said that they were going to get rid of sugar and what have you, but you can't get rid of it because it's used in so many manufacturing things. So you're not going to get rid of it, and it controls everything. Okay, if you look around Lake Okeechobee, which has a lot of pollution, and you were talking about the fact that we have all certain times of the year we have an outbreak of polluted water and things like that. It's coming from the sugar farming. They know this.
From the sugar farming?
Yes.
You got to explain that to us. How is sugar farming polluting the water?
Because of the pesticides, because of the fertilizers, things like that.
Okay.
And it causes the green algae, and it affects the entire state. But nothing is literally being done to go ahead and curb it, to stop it. It affects the Everglades.
Is Florida the largest sugar producer in the country? Is that what you're implying?
It says Florida produces 52% of the total U.S.
52%?
52% of the total.
Yes.
All in the United States, yeah.
And
I did not know this.
What is amazing is you go and you look at the towns that are around Big Sugar. There's certain areas that have homes you wouldn't believe. They have airports. They come right in the back of their homes and things like that.
Now, when you say Big Sugar, are you saying there's a city named Big Sugar?
No, that's the industry.
Okay.
Big Sugar is the industry.
Okay. Because you said fly into Big Sugar, so I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No, they're so rich and wealthy that they're, if you track money, this is something I learned from Pastor Nick, follow the money. If you follow the money, the main contributors to the University of Florida, Florida State University, you trace that money, it goes right back to Big Sugar.
It's sugar.
And they're saying, of course, it makes sense now. Palm Beach County is the biggest in sugarcane.
Okay.
And Palm Beach, of course, you know.
Okay. Plenty money.
You're on it.
I did not know this.
This is news. This is news, man. I know Tom's going to be able to kick in on this. So you guys are ready. You've battened down the hatches. You're looking for if there's any hurricane weather that's going to hit around Tuesday, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Tuesday we'll know for a fact which direction it's going.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. I got to get Tom on the phone. Tell my sister I said hello.
Thank you.
All right, man. Talk to you soon now. And we're praying for you, too.
Right. Oh, thanks. We will appreciate it.
All right, man. Bye-bye.
All right. Be blessed.
Tom.
Morning.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Waiting for the hurricane.
Oh. And I'm going to ask you the same question right from the gate. Now, hurricanes drove my brother out of Florida. Why do Floridians stay in the midst of hurricane, drought, whatever else?
This will be 10 years for me. Now,
DeSantis. I mean, you got all kinds of natural disasters.
I've been in one hurricane, a serious one.
Okay.
The other two were Cat 1s. And I hate to say it, it's kind of like a nor'easter. You get 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's like a bad thunderstorm.
Okay.
Most people down here, the Cat 1, Cat 2, don't really get too concerned. It's when the big ones come in. And I haven't been in a big one like Andrew, so I can't answer that question.
Okay.
But the ones I've been in have been pretty minor. And like I said, I've only been in one that was, really concerning.
I think you've been in one for a couple of years, and you just don't realize it.
Oh, with our governor.
Hurricane DeSantis.
Two things before I get to some of the craziness with DeSantis. When it comes to Spanish vote, Republican and Democratic, it's not just sugar. It's got a lot to do with Cubans.
Okay.
It's a huge Cuban population here.
Okay.
They see Democrats as supporting Castro and this whole night. Trump did an excellent job, I believe, of brainwashing Miami's Cuban population to being Republican. And on the other half, get up toward Orlando, we have a heavy Puerto Rican constituent. It's very Democratic.
Okay.
So, mainly Cubans, and the part that's interesting is DeSantis was going to send a bunch of Cubans north from the boat lift recently, and that got squashed immediately.
Oh, the Cubans wouldn't let him do that.
It just got, a comment came out, because right now both folks from Cuba and Haiti are hidden just like they're hidden in Texas.
Okay.
And he came out, well, he didn't come out, the assistant governor came out and said, no, that was a mistake, we're not doing that.
That meant somebody put pressure on him. And it had to be the Cuban constituency, I would think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the other thing, Bishop, real quick, you guys didn't bring this up about the people going north from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
It's 48 people. The reason I'm bringing it up, it cost $615,000. That's $12,000. Nobody said this. That's $12,300 per person. I looked at the airlines this morning. I can get a ticket for $330. So I want to know what happened to that $12,300.
Well, they say that a friend of his was the contractor for the transportation, and he paid him the contract.
Well, that's my point. I'm not talking, I understand that I can get one for $330, but even if you can get it for $630 or $700 or $800, but $12,300 per person.
People tend to spend your money more freely than they spend their own.
That's like flying private somewhere, isn't it? Somewhere like
private. A flight from Miami, private, on a small jet for the entire plane and 6 or 7 people is about $8,000.
Oh, jeez. Come on, man. So he was blind.
Wow.
Okay, he was lying in somebody's pockets. It's
Yeah, but I think the small plane
people benefited. Yeah, the small plane, yes.
It would be a nice small jet that's comfortable.
Absolutely.
First class.
Absolutely.
Yeah. These folks didn't go on these nice, small, comfortable jets. That was a big-looking cargo plane that they were on.
You could probably fly private and take your friends for someone between 10 and 12. One plane, 8 or 10 people, for about $12,000 from Florida to Massachusetts.
okay. It's actually not bad.
Well, but it goes to show you how much money they spent.
Money spent, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Just to make a point.
right.
What politicians often call a good use of funds.
Well, they did say Florida said they're putting away $12 million to do this.
They're reserving $12 million just to do this?
Just to do this.
Who agreed to that?
Yeah, just to do this.
Then we're back to, what about the homeless people in Florida? What about the people that don't have food? What about the children that are not being taken care of?
Yeah, as you say, that drivel of they're in America, they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps
That's
and all
not
that
true.
foolishness.
You got to have boots and you got to have straps.
Yep.
Yeah. Bishop, changing a little bit more. Brett Favre,
Yes, sir.
he got caught on a text kind of commenting, will this hit the public oh, well, I get the media coverage. He wanted to make sure that this never came back to bite him. And they have texts of him, texting, I don't know if the governor or someone else. So he was aware that what he was, you can always say, I wasn't aware of what I was doing was dirty.
Sure.
He was aware what he was doing was dirty. So, Brett's got a past that nobody talks about. And this was, being a poor state in the Union, and for this to happen, and with the ex-governor, but it's also a problem with the new governor also trying to cover it up.
The new governor tried to cover it?
I heard he's been putting pressure on to make this go away.
I'm back to, I get that he wanted to do something for his daughter's school. I get that. I get that he's maybe an alumnus of the school. I get that. But with most guys that I know that have the ability to do something to make an impact in any significant way, what they do is what we would call open up their Rolodex and start calling their good buddies that they know are capable and can raise that kind of money. And like, I know a guy that raised like $10 million in 30 minutes just calling his friends. $10 million in 30 minutes.
And you know what? The kind of gas that Brett Favre has, that should not be an issue at all.
He could have called his ex-owner. He could have called some ex-players. Look, I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. He could have contacted some alumni of the university. I mean, why take it from poor folk? And something that really a lot of poor folk are not going to use.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, perhaps there's some other details to this thing.
Yeah, they're still coming out with stuff.
That are going to exonerate him?
Brett Favre?
Mm-hmm.
They got text messages, so I'll see how far. Of course, they should blame the former governor more than Favre, but
No.
Favre should be involved. I mean, because the governor is the one who releases the money.
But you're saying Favre took speaking engagements,
Now, that part, yes.
took the honorarium and didn't show up?
Yeah, for that nonprofit, yes. And that lady that's in the nonprofit now, they got her. She's going to jail.
You know what I don't like? Why is it that the people peripheral, they get in trouble, but the people that really are the impetus of the thing, it just nothing happens?
Nothing, yep.
I don't know.
That's something even totally different. Boston, coach getting fired, but the other person involved not getting fired. I don't know if you want to touch that or not.
That's a sketchy
Bishop.
situation.
They didn't let her go?
Well, see, here's the dilemma with that.
I wasn't even going to talk about this, but okay.
Here's the dilemma with that. There's a lot of speculation on what really happened. From what people that are inside are saying, it's worse than what's being presented.
What do you mean worse?
So at first it was just he was in a consensual relationship with some woman.
Okay.
Reports are how many women, the women he was involved with.
Okay.
But again, this is all speculation because they're
Okay.
not talking about the
Okay.
details. But some people that are in the know are saying it's worse than just him.
Was he a part of Boston's organization before he became head coach?
That I don't know. I think he was with San Antonio, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, that's speculation right now.
Mhm.
But they're saying it's more than just him, being with a woman in the organization.
Do you think that they ever really wanted him?
That's the thing. They hired him. He went to the finals, right?
Yeah,
He
man.
went to the
First
finals.
year.
First year. Went to the
Within
finals.
2 games.
Yeah. So, now again, here's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not.
We
that-
shouldn't put it out there.
That's what I said. Who it was?
Yeah.
It might have been the woman that was connected to somebody big in the organization. So that could have.
Okay.
So we don't know until
It just sounds real sketchy to me.
word comes out.
Yeah, and
They-
the big problem I think now is that other news outlets are saying Boston could have let all this out right in the beginning, but they're letting dribs and drabs out, and people are kind of hanging around going, "Who did this, or did you do it?" And when they could have squashed this from the beginning, this is what happened, X, Y, Z, because they have all the information and they know who the participants were, but they're kind of spoon feeding us the info.
That's what Stephen A. Smith's problem is.
Okay.
He said, look, when this happens to another big wig that's white, you very rarely, if ever, hear about any of this stuff that goes on. They handle it internally, and they move on. But obviously this was a big issue because they had an outside organization come in and investigate what happened.
Was he a popular hire?
See, that I don't know. I don't really.
Okay.
But for him to take him to the finals in the first year, they should have been,
Yeah.
unless somebody was upset that they got that far. You know how
Well,
you get your own interests.
Yeah, they were 2 games from the championship.
Yeah. Somebody, that thought he was going to come in and just be okay. And
because as I remember, they took the Warriors right to the finish line there.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, what else you got going on, Tom?
That's pretty much it. Just trying to, stay safe and dry. It's a beautiful day today.
Is it
but
nice
it's
down
always
there?
the calm before the storm.
Yeah. You guys stay safe, man. We're praying for you.
Hey, thank you. God bless you. And you guys have a great day.
You too now.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.
866-743-8267. That's 866-743-8267. 866-74 Evans. Give us a call. This is On Point, #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. Sometimes, the point that we're making about how this is being presented, it's amazing how if you decide to bring it all out or you decide to do it in bits and drabs, both of those have a desired effect. They're not mistakes. So I'm wondering now if they were going to do something to him, why they're doing it this way.
yeah, I think I was reading something where if they went out and just fired him, there could have been some litigation.
Okay.
So the thought is let's just suspend him for.
Okay.
But again, one of the problems, like with most you have somebody in the organization that spills the beans to somebody that's in the media.
Yeah.
And then the media just takes it.
Yeah. Runs with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's.
Do you think it would have been handled differently if he wasn't who he was?
That's the thing that Stephen A. Smith was saying. He said
Okay.
this stuff happens to organizations all the time.
Okay, so
But
this is
you
not
rarely
a
hear
rare
about-
situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on. I'm sorry. You've worked in organizations where
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
boss is leaving
Yeah,
the secretary
yeah, yeah.
But for them to hire an outside organization to investigate his behavior,
They're trying to distance themselves from him.
yes,
Okay.
that gives some pause.
Okay.
Either somebody doesn't like him and they're trying to set him up, or he did some crazy stuff that justified their reaction.
So this seems to imply that they knew about it during the season.
See, they said how long? The season ended what, June? They said it's been a month-long investigation.
Okay, they knew about it.
So they might have knew about it before.
They knew.
But they were winning. Now we've seen people.
Now, if he had won, do you think it would have come out?
See, that's the thing. Either that, right? That, or but people. Somebody's doing too good.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't excuse what he did.
No.
But I say we don't know. They're not
Yeah.
coming out with details.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know, Pastor Nick.
Yeah. I know.
There seems to be the line of what's allowed, appropriate, permitted seems to shift with whoever it is.
Yeah.
I see Stephen A. Smith's argument. I get that.
Yeah.
But we're not going to know. Will we ever know what the real deal is? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. If they don't, Boston said they're not going to spill the beans. They're not going to say anything else. It's over.
They said enough, though.
They said enough. That's the thing. That's what Stephen A. Smith was saying. Like, you guys are saying you want this thing to calm down. Because here's what made it worse. Whoever broke the story.
Okay.
And then people start speculating on. They start researching the women in the organization.
Okay.
So they start posting online. Well,
Okay.
it could have been this woman. Could have been this woman.
Okay.
Then Boston had to come out and say, like, yo,
Okay.
leave these women alone.
Okay.
You guys don't know. But Stephen A. Smith is saying, y'all shouldn't have let it out in the first place.
Right.
Knowing that, you know how people are.
Yeah.
They're going to make assumptions.
Yeah. Wow. Well, just have to wait till it unfolds a little bit more, or maybe they're going to shut it down.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. We've got Keisha from Elizabeth. Hey, Keish.
Good morning, Bishop. Hi, Pastor Nick.
How you doing?
Hey.
I'm okay.
What's your comment this morning?
Well, it's like I need your prayers for two best friends of mine that just passed away.
Yeah.
My friend is like, she is going through so much, and I think her daughter's a Muslim. She just lost her mother yesterday.
Okay.
And the other one is for my friend, and he just lost his wife because she had to go back into the hospital for some reason in her hand and her leg, or, whatever. And, it really hurted me because I kept crying and crying and crying. But anyway, I told him, let your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of people out here, like 55 was saying about homeless. A lot of people ask me, why you do that? Why you do that? I don't want to give them nothing. And they just went in one ear and I was like, I'm not paying y'all no mind. I said, I don't expect nothing back in return. That's the way I am. That's the way I'm going to be from now on.
Okay.
Because it's getting cold out here, everything, and I ain't paying people. I said, y'all negative. So just keep the family in your prayers, because my friend's services is on next Friday.
Okay.
So just keep them in prayer, and me also.
Absolutely, Keisha.
Thank you so much, Bishop.
Thanks for calling us
Pastor
again.
Nick.
See you. Thank you.
Talk to you soon here.
All right.
All right, bye-bye. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. So, were you surprised that the Phoenix Suns owner was suspended?
After it came out what was said, all the stuff he did, they had to suspend him for a year. Now,
Okay.
I mean, for a billionaire, I'm not a billionaire, but $10 million fine doesn't seem like a lot for somebody that's worth billions.
No.
I'm just saying,
I mean, you wouldn't want anybody to take it from you,
Yeah,
but
you
if you
would.
had to spend it,
yeah, he'd probably make that back in 2 days, probably, if that.
let's give him a month.
Right? Be generous.
Okay, let's give him.
So now he's looking to sell both his teams, but they say he was a real nasty guy behind the scenes.
I heard that, but
And,
it's funny about all these things that came up today. You don't know the motivation for the people that are saying what they're saying. Therefore, you can't really trust what's being said.
Yep.
How long was the Phoenix Suns guy being the way he was?
Yeah.
You know,
The way he was. Yeah.
and what made it acceptable?
Yes. Yep.
So I was surprised, because in that situation, does the NBA entity make these decisions, or do the owners have the same thing going on at the NFL guys?
See, that's the thing. I'm not that familiar with the NBA and how they.
Because the owners actually run the NFL, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Through Goodell. Yeah.
Yeah,
Goodell.
yeah, but they actually run it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodall's their appointed guy.
Yes.
And that's why they pay him so well.
Yeah.
So he expresses the will of the people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Seemed like not Sterling. Whatever the guy's name is.
Yeah. Sterling, is that his guy? NBA guy? Seems like he's a little bit more independent, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. He
Okay.
seemed to have a little more power. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not surprised. I mean, you've been around a lot of more powerful people than me.
Okay.
I was watching Mark Cuban on Family Feud.
Okay.
The way he stands like this,
Mhm.
real, I'm like, oh, you can tell he's got money and used to being in authority.
Okay.
There's a certain,
He's a boss kind of guy.
there's a certain,
Yeah.
and I think those who get used to that, you've been around, in
Yeah.
the banking industry, you were
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
they start taking advantage of that
Yeah.
power on people.
Yeah.
Which then goes to show, you think that some of the people that make it are so secure in who they are.
Oh no, that
So
money doesn't make you
And they-
emotionally secure.
Yeah.
No.
They are, and I was
No.
flabbergasted by some people. Like, you would think this person has all this,
They would be better.
they'd be better.
Yep.
Not like an insecure child trying to fight to keep their toy.
Stuff doesn't make you better.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Stuff gives the impression that you're better.
Yeah,
But stuff doesn't make you better.
that's true. That's true.
although the Bible does say money answers all things, but there are some things that it can't answer.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
It's true.
I find that we tend to mistake accomplishment for maturity, and they're not necessarily the same. You hope that maturity comes along with accomplishment, but it's not necessarily the same.
That's true. That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. Which makes sense why in the kingdom God wants you to work out those internal things.
Yes.
Before he starts releasing those.
Yes.
You know.
You know, that's why the transformation is from the inside out, not from the outside in, because a blessing necessarily won't heal a wound that you have.
Yeah, buddy. Yes, sir.
You know, so it's we got line 1, but they've got line 4 up. I guess it's the same thing. Good morning. Is this Darlene?
Yes, it is. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to On Point.
Hi, Bishop. This is Darlene, like I said, and good morning to you both, Pastor Nick. I just wanted to make a comment. This week I went to a patient care portal.
Okay.
Patient care, Patient First, and Delran. And I went in there with body aches and running noses and everything. And they first gave me a rapid test, and it came back negative. And so when the doctor came in, she said I didn't have COVID as far as the rapid test was concerned. But and I said, so why do I still feel so bad? I said, did you test me for the flu? And she said, no, this is the time of the year that we don't test for the flu. Because not many people get the flu this time of the year. So I said, well, the last time I felt this way, I had the flu. Can you please test me? And so she says, she sends in her nurse, and they test me for the flu and the PCR for the
For
second COVID test.
Yeah.
And it took 20 minutes for her to come back in. And so when she came back into my room, she started off with these statistics. 40,000 people at this time being tested for the flu. Only 15% of them test positive for the flu. It's an A flu and it's a B-type flu. And I'm like sitting there looking at her like, well, do I have the flu or I don't? And reluctantly, she's saying, yeah, you have the flu, and I'll give you Tamiflu. But I just wanted to call in and say that we have to be more proactive and telling the doctor. Sometimes we have to tell the doctors how to treat us. I'm not sure if she would have let me leave out there without even prescribing me a prescription. So I would have came to the portal or came to the office leaving without being cared for.
I think a lot of times people do make the mistake of allowing whoever to ignore the symptoms you're describing. And the other thing I think that happens is with a lot of people that see a lot of people in their work every day,
Yes.
everyone starts to sound the same to them, so they come to conclusions before they really hear you.
Yes.
And when someone gives you a response that is not addressing your situation, you have to do, perhaps I'm not speaking clearly. Let me try to tell you this again. This is what I'm feeling. And sometimes it snaps them out of that regiment of having a pat answer for everyone that comes in. But, you did the right thing. And I always say, people start talking about percentages when you try to maximize or minimize the impact of a thing. And the 15% to me means there are people that catch it. So
Right.
only 15% does not mean to me that I may not be one of the 15%.
Right.
I'm feeling like I'm one of the 15%. So
Right.
Come on. But you have to be persistent like you were.
Yeah, and it feels like I was prejudged. Like
You were.
yeah.
You were. Or based on whatever statistic. But then she had to come and substantiate her mistake
Yes.
by
Yes.
saying statistically she was correct in saying no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Thank you.
Somebody made a quote. It hit me
Yeah.
that I didn't realize until I started talking to more black women, this is years ago, how the medical industry is so against them.
They don't listen to
They
it.
don't listen to them. I
Understood.
remember even with my wife when she was in labor, we had to kind of fight a little bit because they were like, well, you're fine. And she's like, no, I'm not fine. So somebody said that sometimes the doctors are to black women what black men are to, what the police are to black men.
Okay.
And when you thought about it, it was like,
I think what happens, and that is a perfect example
yeah,
of people who are in a regiment, used to making a decision, they start lumping every case in with the majority or the high percentage. So they don't hear you when you're trying to describe. You know, and I get it. They do get a segment of people that don't know how to really describe their symptoms and aren't articulate and all that, so they have to make decisions for them. But when you have someone saying, look, you know, but they're so regimented, they don't hear you. So you have to persist.
So thank you guys for hearing me.
Absolutely, darling. Take it easy now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oops. We're going to Vincent from Jackson, Tennessee. Hey, hey, Vincent, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Welcome to On Point.
Hey, I had a question.
Okay. What's your comment today? Question.
Do you think that churches now these days are lacking of teaching on relationships when it comes down to young people dating someone in relationships and marriage? Because most of them think it's just the first thing is being intimate.
Now let me make sure I understand your question. You sound so familiar to me, Vincent. Do I think that teaching on relationship is lacking?
Yes, and teaching on marriage and relationships is it lacking in the church?
Generally,
I can't for young people.
I can't speak for the church nationally. I can speak for the ministries that I know of. So that would be about 300 or 400 ministries that I'm personally knowledgeable of what they do. And those types of teaching, relationship teaching and all that is very, very prominent and very strong. So I think it comes down to not just the church at large. I think it just comes down to individual ministries. But I think a lot of, especially in the last 10, 15, 20 years, relationship has been a major teaching principle and point in many, many churches.
Okay.
Why do you have the perception that it's not? Is that something you feel is lacking in your area or in the church you belong to?
Yeah, it's lacking in the area I stay in. You know, most of them think it's about looks. Most of them think it's about, and some people say, well, you got to be attracted to someone, but I think, most people look at it as physically than the spiritual.
Yeah. Did you have a personal experience with this type of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And because I was raised, that go by a person's heart,
Mm-hmm.
and how they treat you, and I mean, who wouldn't want someone attractive? I mean, I'm pretty sure someone would want somebody not just broke down, just ugly, but
Mm-hmm.
But somebody's attracted to the spirit more than the physical more,
So, in your situation, would you blame the outcome on a lack of teaching in the area, or more importantly, I would think whether that was God's will for you?
Well, the church I've been at, they, it was a elder guy that was a pastor, but he was teaching on marriage and relationships, but never, it was from his experience back then.
Okay.
But it wasn't hitting on what young people are facing now.
Okay.
Dating, because to me, I think dating and marriage is different from years ago. It's done changed a whole lot.
There's a lot more challenges. I think there's an abundance of viable, effective teaching in the area of relationships, from relationship with God to relationship in marriage, love relationships, dating, who to look for, those type of things. I think that Have you ever been on our site at all?
No, sir.
I would recommend you go on our site, BBC of NJ, and get into some of the mess. You'll see some phenomenal teaching on the type of thing that you're interested in right now. But there's too much information out here from good, strong ministries that you just haven't been exposed to, Vince. I think that's just what it is. You haven't been exposed to it yet.
Right, I believe that's what it is, because I've been at one church for just about practically my whole life.
Okay, so you make a little mistake in thinking that, and people do this all the time. Sometimes we think our neighborhood represents every neighborhood in the world. And sometimes people think that their church or their context is indicative of every other context or church in the world. And that's not true. That may be, you may have 1,000 things you love about your church, but you may need some instruction in one area. Doesn't mean your church is bad. It just means that one area is not their focus.
I never thought of it like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So some churches, are very strong Word of God, foundational teaching how to mature. Some churches are very strong in worship. Some are very strong in community outreach. And then, but they don't see some priorities as other churches do, depending on what the congregation is demanding. So if you have a congregation that is primarily older people, or married folk, and then elderly folk, the pastor may not see a strong need to teach in the area that may be of your concern. Doesn't mean it's a bad pastor or it's a bad church. It just means he's focusing on the population that he has.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So a lot of times, like in our congregation, we've got an 8 to 80 type of congregation. So we have to make sure we cover the different aspects of people's lives. So we're dealing with seniors, and we're dealing with young people in elementary school, and teenagers in high school, and folk of college age, and then professionals. So our ministry has to touch all of those people, because those are the demographics that God has given us to minister to. But that may not be the demographic that is in your church. So if you think about the makeup of your church, you'll see why pastor is focused on what he's focused on.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Well, you're our last caller for the day. I hope we were able to help you. We try to be helpful, give you some additional wisdom to look at your situation with. And you actually took us over time, Vince, so we're glad you called us. Call us again, all right?
All right, thank you so much.
All right, talk to you now. This has been On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. Look, tomorrow, join us at 8 o'clock virtually. 11 o'clock, we're indoors. You should have registered for service by now. We're in our Rhythm series. Phenomenal series. People are really being impacted by it. Registration for next week's service starts Sunday night at 6 p.m. If you have a prayer request, email it to us at social@gotobethany.com. We ask you to subscribe to our David G. Evans 1 and our BBC of NJ YouTube channels, but also subscribe to our podcast platforms, DGEMS, DGEMS, and OnPointe. For Pastor Nicholas Smith, I'm Bishop David G. Evans. Remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you, and see you next time on OnPointe.